Warning. The following program contains flashing imagery and content which may be considered harmful or traumatizing to some. Viewer discretion is extremely advised. Welcome to the darkest depths. It was a hot and humid morning on August 19th when Shipshewana police responded to a call at 345 Van Buren Street for a boy that was unresponsive and in critical condition. Brantley Welford was the 4-year-old son of Victoria Welford, who was living with her 35-year-old boyfriend, Dylan Diericks. Dylan was also an on-the-road truck driver throughout Indiana. Brantley's preschool was understaffed, so the boy was not in school at the time. Dylan claims he gave the boy a choice of staying at his grandmother's or going on the road trucking with him. He said that Brantley chose to go on the road. Dylan said that they were about an hour from Shipshewana alongside the tollway, and that they had pulled over to rest and were horseplaying inside the truck. He said he tossed Brantley on the bunk in the sleeper of a semi, where the child accidentally hit his head on a small plastic hook. Dylan said that the boy cried as he held on to him, and he laid him down and noticed that Brantley was still breathing. But Dylan said that he did notice a scratch on the back of the boy's head, and he put some ointment on it. Then Dylan Diericks continued to drive down the road, looking back or pulling over to check on Brantley a few more times. He said when he looked back and noticed that the boy was unresponsive, he immediately pulled over and called emergency services. Brantley Welford was taken by helicopter from Shipshewana to Parkview Regional Medical Center in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where he died 4 days later due to his injuries. Or at least, that was Dylan's version of events. But the court records told a much different story of what actually happened to Brantley Welford. The boy's injuries were not consistent with what Dylan had said at all. Documents state that Brantley suffered fractures to his clavicle and shoulder blade, cuts to his arm, a busted lip, burns around his mouth and on various parts of his body, bruises and abrasions on the right and left side of his face, severe bruising on his forehead, lacerations and blunt force trauma to the back of the head, bruises to the genitalia, as well as injury and bleeding from the child's anus. But Dylan says he doesn't know how some of those injuries happened. All he knows is that Brantley got hurt inside the truck. Oh, and that Brantley may have tripped on the steps of the truck the Monday before. Oh, and the tree limbs where they were working explain the scratches and cuts that covered the 4-year-old's body. But the rest of the sexual trauma and broken bones, why, he had no clue what happened for Brantley to get those. Dylan Diericks was initially charged with first-degree murder, but made a plea deal with the state of Indiana to plead guilty on neglect of a dependent causing death. He is currently serving a 32-year prison sentence. Although Dylan Diericks maintains his innocence and claims the state of Indiana botched the case, the family of Brantley Welford maintains that Dylan abused the boy and was directly responsible for the child's death. Thank you for watching Darkest Depths. Follow on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for the absolute worst that humanity has to offer in true crime and horror. Merchandise available through teespring.com. Episode requests made through darkestdepthstruecrime@gmail.com.